Hey everybody, how's it going? Steve Rosinski here. And as you can see, the title of our session today is 5 Steps to Doubling the Value of Your Company. And if you pay close attention to what I'm going to share, you will see it is definitely a doable achievement. This session is for any business owner who wants to strategically position their company to get multiple offers and top dollar for the sale of their company. If you want to take control of your future and your finances and see your company through the eyes of the buyer, this is for you. Even if you've never thought about selling your business, this webinar will be valuable. The next 45 minutes or so, I'm going to share with you how you can double the value of your company and position it to get a maximum cash out and payday when you exit. How to manage your business as an asset so that you maximize the financial return you get. How you can develop your business for scalability without giving up control. How you can avoid dependence on any one supplier, employee, or buyer for a successful outcome. And how to get control of your time and priorities so your family, your health, your hobbies, and everything else that you care about can get the proper attention. I'm going to pull back the curtain, show you your business through the eyes of a buyer, and give you a step-by-step strategy for doubling the value of your company, to put more money in your pocket and put you in control by giving you options. First, a few house rules. This is not a get-rich-quick process. You need to put in the work. Like anything, your success is up to you. But before we get to the good stuff, I want to see where you're at. Does it seem like you're working harder and harder and making less and less progress? Do you feel guilty that your most important relationships with your wife, your kids, your family, your buddies is getting pushed aside because of your work? You feel trapped by your own creation. You started your own business so you could finally be in control, yet you still feel out of control even though you're the boss. Are you frustrated that a majority of your entire net worth is tied up in the illiquid asset that is your business? Does the thought of selling your company feel like you're abandoning your own child, but you know you can't keep living with the stress it's bringing? Is it impossible to take a break because there are so many things that only you can do, and it's harming your health, your sleep, impacting your weight and your stress level? Well, I've got great news. That sounds like you. It's great news because those aren't the real problem. They're just symptoms. The real problem is you haven't made what I call the shifts, and we're going to talk about those in just a moment. However, once you make these shifts, you will take back control and can rebalance your life around the things that really matter and have leverage because you understand what makes your business valuable to buyers. You have options to stay or sell because you've curated your company to be an attractive, transferable, and sellable asset worth top dollar in your industry, which can run with or without you. You regularly get unsolicited offers to buy your company at attractive multiples because you've doubled the value of your company. You'll be prepared, so you won't be ambushed and won't have to consider lowball offers for your business because you have better offers in hand. You're confident and you're positive about your future because you finally unleashed the hidden value locked within your company and can enjoy family, friends, and the lifestyle that seemed just out of reach. My name is Steve Rosinski. I'm the owner and founder of Dream River Group, and I'm crazy passionate about serving small business. I've owned a few and served many. I've been really blessed in my career to have built up a wealth of management leadership experience. I want to make a difference, use my full talents, and serve God while serving others. And I really specialize in helping business owners build better companies. First, let me talk a little bit about how these 5 shifts came to be. About a year ago, I had a pretty serious personal health event. I had 3 heart attacks and then ultimately quintuple bypass surgery. And like many other folks who go through that kind of experience, you think about your life and how you're spending it and what you're contributing, and are you purposeful? And so I decided that I wanted to serve small business better. I'd been doing it for about 20 years, Prior to that, I'd done a lot of Fortune 500 work, but I really enjoy the small business space. And in doing so, I hadn't really come across let's call it a system that could be brought to small business that was looking at businesses from the perspective of buyers and acquirers. And I thought that would be really valuable because ultimately it's an asset for a lot of owners, and those businesses impact lots of employees. And if I could help those organizations perform better, then that would be a great contribution to mankind. So that's how the shifts came to be. And they need to be considered if you're really going to have a chance at doubling the value of your business. I'm going to walk you through all 5 right now. The first one is really kind of a mindset element, and is putting an intentional focus on building to sell. When you do this, because your behavior and your outcomes follow your thinking, so that's why it's a mindset, it forces you to focus like a laser on seeing your business through the eyes of a prospective buyer. I promise when you leave this webinar, if you just think about that a little bit, you'll see things in your business that you know from a buyer's perspective could be better. Well, that's a good thing. That means with just a little bit of shift in your mindset, you're potentially bringing more value to you. In this process, be aware your finish line is your buyer's starting line. Just keep that concept in your mind. And that the valuation of your company is based on future growth and profit that it can generate for the buyer. By having a built-to mindset, a built-to-sell mindset, you're able to start to see your company from a buyer's perspective. And here's the important thing. You can do it before you start the process of actually selling your company. Research says that over 75% of small businesses will sell in the next 10 years. It pays to be ready. It's kind of like when you get a phone call and a company's going to drop by and see you, that you start scrambling like crazy to clean up your house and hide all the junk, and because you want to put off a good impression. Well, it's the same thing if a buyer's looking at your business. You wait till they start showing up. Trust me, they'll see the mess that might exist that you didn't have time to complete. So be proactive. Shift number 2 is prioritize getting better, not just bigger. When you have more revenue, employees, offices, factories, there won't be of any value to an acquirer if you're not profitable and your cash flow is negative. There's a belief among business owners that bigger is better. And the fact is that's true about 20% of the time. Ignore the media and pundit-driven belief that bigger is better. Use what buyers actually care about, which is what I'm introducing you to here today. Growing bigger could bring more headaches, more shareholders to answer to, comprised and conflicting goals with staff and partners, stress. Learn to make growth a byproduct of doing well versus an intentional strategy. Feeding your ego with growth strokes like the Inc. 5000 and other ratings will not build value in your business. Growing bigger can bring more stress, less profit, more people challenges, and less control of the business. Now I want to talk about the secret weapon. First step in considering the secret weapon is think about using a proven system that has had some time and practice, meaning it's been used for others to help you grow the value of your company. You know, the old way that business owners, well, we call it old because we're value oriented, is that you prioritize growing revenue. You sell lots of things to a few customers. So what happens when one of those customers goes away? It has a big impact on your business, a lot of pain. They use the transactional business model. As soon as one sale's done, they got to start all over and do another one. No recurring revenue even considered. They find themselves in the weeds of all the business operations, meaning their company's too dependent on them. They strive for satisfied customers. They don't know if they have satisfied customers. They haven't committed to satisfied customers, but they're striving for satisfied customers. They treat the business like a personal piggy bank, share equity too liberally, diluting their ownership, and they use proximity as their defined competitive advantage, meaning we're the local provider. Well, these days, local providers can be run over in a hurry. What I want to show here is the 8 factors that built to sell value builders pay attention to. What I'm going to suggest to you is to focus on these 8 key factors. So what I want to do is share a little bit about each factor from our quick start guide, and each will have a couple items that you could even start today to potentially do something about. So let me go through these, and we'll start at the top. Financial performance. There are 8 key drivers that drive sellability, and while the first one is easy to understand, it's actually quite difficult to deliver. It's your financial performance. What's your top line revenue? What's your bottom line profit? The interesting thing about financial performance is there a second kind of hidden element in it that's not only what those numbers are, but also the quality of the reporting around those numbers. So to drive your performance in this factor, you should not only focus on your top line and your bottom line, but also consider investing in an audit or some other way to make sure that those numbers are as defendable as possible. Because a buyer is going to come in and say, great, you got these numbers, but how legitimate are they? And what third parties have come in to really scrutinize these? So investing in an audit is one simple way to improve the area of financial performance. Next is growth potential. A lot of business owners, when they think about their business, they want to value it on what they've done in the past. We're proud of our track record. That's normal. You know, the fact that you won an association award, for example, or that you've got a 20-year business, or that you're recognized for your reliability, or whatever it is that you think you've done in the past. And the hard truth is that when a buyer comes in, they're not buying the past. They're not buying what you've done. They're really only buying one thing. And that is they're buying your future stream of profits. What is this business going to do in the future? For you, it's the end of the game. It's the finish line. For them, it's the start. It's a different frame of mind for them. They want to know what can this business do going forward. To drive up your performance on growth potential, you really want to make the case and focus on what is the future potential of the business. Can it operate in a different market? Let's say you've been successful in market A. Is it possible to scale? Listen to market B, C, and D? Could you stress selling additional products or services to your existing customer base? Are there ways that this could work in different cultural markets, for example? Or are there ways that you can significantly scale up the business? The answer to these questions is going to drive up your growth potential and value in the eyes of the buyer. Next is the Switzerland structure. Switzerland structure gets its name from the country of Switzerland, of course. If you know anything about the history of Switzerland, they have this obsession with being independent. They didn't join either of the 2 world wars. They didn't send troops to Iraq. Didn't even join the United Nations before an entire countrywide referendum was held to approve it. But it really goes to the idea that as a country, they're obsessed with this independence, of not being overly dependent on any one faction or regime, so to speak. And that's essential for building a sellable company. That independence of any one constituency. And there are 3 important groups you've got to make sure you're independent of. Number 1 is customers, meaning you can't have an overly concentrated customer set. You've got to have good diversification amongst your customers. Number 2 is employees. You can't be overly dependent on any one employee, particularly in IT or leadership or around intellectual property. And number 3, and this one's not as intuitive as the others, you can't be overly dependent on any one supplier, particularly when they provide something essential to your business. So customer, employee, supplier, you've got to be independent of those 3. Because a buyer coming in, they're going to look at your business and see if that you're overly dependent on any one of these constituencies. They're going to discount the business because it's just too risky for them. Next is valuation teeter-totter. Remember when you were a kid, you'd go to the playground and be on a teeter-totter. There's a light kid, and then a heavier kid gets on, and the light kid flies up. The same relationship exists that way when cash moves through your company and its associated value. And it's one of the factors of sellability. Essentially, when a buyer comes in and buys your business, they've actually got to write two checks. They write a check to you, the owner, that's obvious, but also have to write a second check a lot of people don't really think about. The second check is to fund your company's working capital. That's the money your business needs to operate the day you hand over the keys to the buyer. The deal is that the buyer has to write those two checks out of the same checkbook. So the more your company sucks up in the way of cash, and the more cash your company needs to operate, the less they're going to be willing to buy your business. So the way to improve your performance on a valuation teeter-totter is really to make sure that your business is generating cash. If you collect receivables, collect them faster. If you can extend your payables a little more, make sure you're delaying your payments to the point where you're just generating more cash as a business, and that's going to improve your performance on the valuation teeter-totter. Recurring revenue. When a buyer comes in to buy a business, they want to understand, how's this business going to continue once you, the owner, leaves? And so the more recurring revenue you can have, the more valuable it's going to be. I found that there are really 6 forms of recurring revenue, and buyers view each of the forms a little bit differently. I'm going to give you the 6 like a David Letterman top 10 list. I'll start from the lowest value one, end with the most valuable ones in the eyes of an acquirer. Ready? Okay, the first of the 6 forms of recurring revenue is simple consumables. I'm a coffee drinker. I probably have 2 cups a day, so I've got to refill and buy more coffee when I run out. That's a simple consumables business. One step up the ladder is a sunk money consumable. So you've seen these in Nespresso coffee makers, where you get the machine and then you buy the little capsules. That's called the sunk money subscription, because you've sunk money into the machine. You're way more likely to buy the capsules from the same company. Next one up the ladder is subscription revenue. If you've ever subscribed to a magazine, you know that, right? There's a start date and an end date to the subscription, and the editors know that you're a subscriber for either a year or 2 years in the future. It's a form of recurring revenue. One step up the ladder is sunk money subscriptions, where you sink money into a platform and then you buy information or something on a subscription basis. A good example of that would be the Bloomberg terminal. Wall Street traders have the hardware, the physical computer that sits on their desk. That's called the Bloomberg terminal. They also buy the information on a subscription basis. So it's kind of mashing together 2 of these concepts, sunk money consumables, but also buying on a subscription. Auto renewal is the next rung of the ladder, where instead of having a start and a stop date on a subscription, it's in perpetuity. So like, for example, we store documents, for example, with a document storage company like Iron Mountain, that's in perpetuity. They keep documents until you send them back or shred them, and they just keep billing you on a continuing basis. That's auto renewal or evergreen. The most valuable form of recurring revenue is contract revenue, where a customer is contractually obligated to buy from you in the future. And that, of course, is the most rock solid form of recurring revenue. So to improve your performance on this attribute, you want to try and walk up this hierarchy of recurring revenues, thinking of it as moving up the rungs on the ladder. So if you've got subscription revenue today, think about if you could turn that into auto renewals. Or if you've got evergreen subscription, could you make those contracts? Once you can climb up as high as you can, you really want to focus on the proportion of recurring revenue. The ideal would be 100%, but very few businesses get there. But the higher proportion of recurring revenue and the higher up the ladder you go, the more valuable your company is going to be. Next is monopoly control. Monopoly control is another factor of sellability. That means you've got control over how you price your product. You're not being commoditized because you're unique in your marketplace. You've heard Warren Buffett talk about this idea of having a deep and wide moat around your business. He's referring to the idea that he invests in companies that have a differentiated marketing position. And a lot of investors look for companies that have a differentiated proposition, because that gives you the ability to control your pricing. The more you control your pricing, the more margin you make. The more margin you make, the more you can invest in sales and marketing. And it triggers this nice domino effect that enables you to stay different in the marketplace and get more control over pricing. So how can you improve performance on a monopoly control is really to scrutinize the way you're marketing your business through two lenses, because a marketing strategy has to have two attributes. It's got to be meaningful to customers and it's got to be different. So scrutinize all the messages you have in the marketplace. Look at your website, your company vans, however you communicate to your market, and say, does this make us different? And do customers care? Those are the two drivers that drive up your monopoly control performance. Next is customer satisfaction. Customer satisfaction is an obvious factor of sellability. So obviously how satisfied your customers are will be important to a buyer, because when a buyer buys the company, they're buying the future. So when you leave and sail into the sunset, they're going to want to know, how's this business going to perform? To drive up performance on this factor, you've got to empirically quantify and measure customer satisfaction. Probably the most well-liked, well-respected way to do that is something called a Net Promoter Score. You can Google it later. But essentially, measuring and benchmarking your performance on the likelihood that customers are going to recommend you, the more you have that data, the more you'll know for your own peace of mind that your customers are satisfied. In addition, acquirers will be able to see that your customers are satisfied and are likely to repurchase from them again. Finally is hub and spoke. Hub and spoke refers to how dependent your company is on you personally. And again, when the buyer comes in to buy your business, they're going to want to know, how's this thing going to operate when you leave? And the more dependent the company is on you personally, the lower you're going to perform on the hub and spoke performance. The hub and spoke name comes from a discussion with a business owner who was describing his role in the company. He said, I'm a hub in the hub and spoke model where all my employees come to me when they've got a question. My customers come to me when they need a quote. My suppliers come to me when they want me to buy something. And he was proud of that operating style, saying that's what makes his business efficient. Well, if it may be efficient, but if you've ever flown through a Chicago O'Hare when there's a snowstorm and how the hub and spoke break down, it gets blocked up, it's a disaster. So the same thing is true of a hub and spoke business owner. When everything is dependent on the hub and spoke or that hub manager, there's not much value left in the company. So the key is to improve your performance on hub and spoke. Make sure your business becomes less dependent on you personally. And one of the quick ways you can do that is to start documenting your processes. So if you have ways of doing things, get them down on paper. Make sure employees are aware of the 7 steps to close up at night, or the 3 ways that we change our brand, and the things that are important to us as a company, our values and so forth. Make sure all of this stuff is not just in your head, but written down so that employees can read it, digest it, and offer it when you're not there. One of the fun ways you can measure how you're doing on hub and spoke is to take a vacation. Start small, take a couple days, and just see how your business operates when you're not there. And then come back, find out where the breakdowns occurred, plug those holes with training, process improvement, making sure things are documented for employees. Take another vacation, maybe a week or 2, and repeat the process. You've got to constantly reinforce the gaps that need attention when you're not there. Doing this will help you perform better on the hub and spoke factor. I hope you take at least 2 or 3 things from that quick start guide and suggestions about how you can improve your business from the buyer's perspective today, but keep in mind these 8 factors. Shift number 4 is to remove the bottleneck, which is you, which we just spent some time on with hub and spoke as well. The problem, many of us business owners cling to too many tasks. We want to make too many decisions, we're involved in too many processes, and we're embedded in too many procedures. Every year as your business exists will require more of your time and talent to keep all of the balls in the air. Stop getting involved with serving every customer, reinforcing the customer's reliance on you. When you go to sell your company, you'll be severely penalized for this if it's occurring. Do not become synonymous with your company. If buyers aren't confident the business can run without you, they won't make their best offer. And finally, shift 5 is to invest in coaching. Everyone should have a coach. They bring accountability, they bring experience and new ideas. In fact, hopefully, from this session, you have some new thoughts in your head right now that wouldn't have been there if you didn't make time for this webinar. Trying to double the value of your business without a coach, a process, and proper training is crazy. Don't go it alone. Let's talk about a case study. Dan Sleswick is the owner of Image Cabinets. They doubled the business from $2 million to $4 million from 2008 to 2015. But despite experienced success, Dan began noticing several operational efficiencies. And it was normal for Dan to be working 65 hours a week, leaving little time for vacations and leisure for himself. Image Cabinets had grown to become dependent on him, with his heavy involvement in decision-making and the business's day-to-day operations. Despite not being interested in exiting his business quite yet, he still wanted the option of selling his business when the time came. Together, Dan and the business coach he hired embarked on a journey to make improvements to Image Cabinets that would positively impact his quality of life. His coach aimed to do this by improving processes within Image Cabinets and reducing the company's reliance on Dan. More importantly, he worked with him on delegating many parts of his job to reduce the company's reliance on him. To create alignment, Dan and his coach created clear operational guidelines and detailed job descriptions for each employee to ensure everyone was held responsible. Dan has since transitioned to only working 5 hours a week, 65 to 5. Nice improvement in time commitment. Image Cabinets is now a well-oiled machine and continues to be a thriving business. Most importantly, enabled him to get his life back, work on his health, and achieve greater work-life balance, and increase his company value by 83% in the process. Today, I said I'd share strategies with you of how to double the value of your company and position it to get a maximum cash out and payday when you exit. I wanted to show you how to get control of your time and priorities for your family, your health, your hobbies, and other things you care about. How to manage your business as an asset so that you maximize the financial return you can get. How to develop your business for scalability without giving up control. And how to avoid dependence on one supplier, employee, or buyer for a successful outcome. So the 5 shifts in review: focus on building to sell, mindset, prioritize getting better, not bigger. Use the secret weapon, focus on the 8 key factors that buyers care about. Remove the bottleneck, which is you. Invest in coaching. These 5 shifts alone are enough to propel you to double the value of your company. Now you have a choice. You can keep on working yourself to death nights and weekends while falling further and further behind. You can keep feeling trapped by your own creation. You can spend your days being reactive instead of proactively planning for the future. You can keep feeling out of control of your business, your marriage, your health, your future. Or you can take control back by designing a built-to-sell company that buyers will love. You can own a company focused on building value and structured to run with or without you. You can earn more and work less by perfecting your processes and implementing business strategies built on recurring revenue, competitive advantage, and value enhancement. With hard work, a 7 or even 8-figure exit valuation can be achieved. My team and I have set aside some time over the next 48 hours to speak to you personally about how you can apply these ideas in your business starting today. Whatever your biggest challenges, we've seen it and we know how to overcome it. We'll get on the phone for about 45 minutes, and in this session, we'll work with you to craft a step-by-step game plan to show you how to see your business through the eyes of a buyer, and give you a step-by-step strategy for doubling the value of your company and put more money in your pocket and put you in control by giving you options. And the price for this call is free. This is for you. You must have a track record of being a profitable business. You must be outstanding at what you do. You must hold yourself to the highest standard of integrity and be willing to be coachable. If this is you, book a session with us now. We love giving back, and we love helping business owners reach their goals. And we love providing counterintuitive wisdom, which actually works and brings back the joy of life and the satisfaction of owning a business that you genuinely love. Plus, we know that you might want help to transform your business. If so, we can discuss it and see if it's a good fit for both of us. If not, that's fine too. Thanks for watching the session with today. I appreciate it very much. Go to dreamergroup.com /apply to sign up for a time, or click the link below to do the same thing. Thanks.